October could be the biggest month for XRP and its holders, and the SEC just made it easier for institutions to get spot XRP ETF products into the market. I'm going to give you all of this information as well as other things that I'm looking for in October to push XRP's price to all-time new highs. Let's go ahead and get into what is actually happening and what I think is about to unfold, play out. Let's go. So you have SEC XRP ETF decisions. The SEC is scheduled to make its final decision on the at least 6 to 11 spot XRP ETF applications submitted by major asset managers, including Grayscale, Franklin Templeton, Bitwise, 21 Shares, Rex Shares, and CoinShares between October 18th and November 14th. Approval of spot XRP ETFs would legitimize XRP as an institutional grade asset, potentially unlocking 4 to 8 billion in the first year. Well, there are people in the XRP space that think even 5 billion could come into XRP in the first month alone. We're going to see if that person is right. His name is Mark McClug, and he is actually out of Canary Capital. I did want to show you some of the decision making here. The SEC did make it easier. The SEC has streamlined the process for approving crypto exchange traded funds by introducing new generic listing standards. These standards allow exchanges to list commodity-based ETFs, including those tied to cryptocurrencies, without the lengthy individualized SEC review. So every product, the SEC had to review it and vote on it. It was lengthy, it was exhausting. Now they have streamlined getting these products approved. The only thing that needs to happen here is there needs to be a futures market already for the crypto product that they're trying to fast track here. And XRP is in fact one of those assets. Here's what changed. Previously, ETF issuers had to submit a 19B4 filing to request a rule change for exchange listing and an S1 registration, outlining the ETF structure, creating significant delays, often up to 240 days long. With the new generic listing standards approved in September 2025, issuers only need to file an S1. The 19B-4 process has become meaningless, and the regulatory bottlenecks for crypto ETFs have been removed. It says many pending ETF applications, including those for Solana, XRP, Litecoin, Cardano, and others, now face near certain approval, possibly any day. So this could happen at any time. Now, somebody asked the other day, what happens with the other SEC ETFs that were already waiting for approval? We already have dates. What about those? The pending spot XRP ETF approvals have been moved into a faster track due to the SEC's adoption of generic listing standards. This change means older case-by-case reviews, 19B4 filings, are no longer required for eligible products like XRP. Issuers have been directed to withdraw those filings while focused on the new S1 registration statement. So basically, they need to withdraw these old applications and submit the new ones, and they could be approved at any day. So these dates, they could actually be approved sooner than these days. Canary Capital's ETF is going to be the biggest ever XRP ETF. Let's just take a look at the numbers and I'll let you decide here. Size 2 to 10 employees, boutique structure. It's a very small company. And how much money do they have under management here? Headquarters in Brentwood, Tennessee, hedge fund management, investment. It doesn't even say how much do they have under management. I mean, I believe that XRP, God, this thing just kind of threw me for a loop, dude. It's not publicly disclosed or precise figures. Yeah, not good. Not good. All right, let's jump into this clip with Paul Barron and the Kwok brothers talking about ETF approvals for XRP and how big this could be.
So for sure. I just showed Canary Capital announcing their XRP Solana ADA. This was like their American-made crypto thing. We had Stephen on last week. Great conversation, but Stephen made a very big statement. And his statement was he believed that XRP, their ETF, would be the biggest ETF yet in all of crypto. Dom, I'll start with you. Do you agree with that in terms of inflows?
Okay, really quickly before he answers this, the question was, Paul Barron brought up that Canary Capital CEO said that their ETF, Canary Capital's XRP ETF, would be the biggest XRP ETF with the most demand. Now, when he asked this question, he misheard what he was saying. He heard that XRP will be the biggest. That's what he heard. He didn't hear that Canary Capitals will be the biggest. I just wanted to make that distinction because it's bothering me in my head. And if you're listening at home, you might catch the same things that I caught while listening to this. Just wanted to lay that additional context out for you.
For inflows.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would agree with that. I think, even if you just look at the XRP holder base, it's so big. And, I think XRP volumes are, some of the highest on Coinbase, and the trading volumes are really the highest on many of the different exchanges, or amongst at least the top three after Bitcoin, and I think even just after Bitcoin actually in the most recent Coinbase report. But Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Those are the definitely the most liquid ones and most traded names. And I think people who don't hold crypto and who don't.
All right, it's going to be big. I don't think Canary Capital is going to be the biggest in my personal opinion, but I do think XRP is going to be big. Let's move on to what else could happen. We know we talked about the ETFs. What else are we waiting for? Now, Ripple filed for a national banking license. They filed with the OCC, which is the Office of Comptroller of Currency. They generally aim to make a decision on a national bank charter within 120 days of the receipt. Now, Ripple filed this in August 2025. So August, September, October, November, this could happen right before the end of the year. And there's some people that speculate that it could happen in October. Personally, I think we're a little too close on the window. Even if it happened in the beginning of August, you're still looking into November and December timeline. But this is also something that could spark dramatic price inflows for XRP if this does get approved, because people will start to FOMO. The normal time frame is 120 days, but they could take 9 months and a year in practice due to additional steps by the FDIC. So this could play a role. It might not. Something to look out for. Also, multi-purpose tokens just got approved on the XRP ledger, as well as a ton of other institutions need if they're going to be moving their infrastructure onto blockchain. Listen to this clip here. Let me play it and I'll give you a ton of context.
I'm super excited for 2025. A couple big things that we have on our product roadmap on RippleX are the MPT token, which is a new token standard that is purpose-built to support real-world assets. So we've proposed that as an amendment to the XRP ledger. We're waiting for the validator community to decide whether or not they want to adopt that. But we believe that that's a really strong foundation for tokenizing real-world assets. From there, I think while tokenization is a huge tailwind in the industry, eventually, tokenizers are going to wonder, okay, what do I do with it now that it's on chain? How can I extract value for myself, for my users? And that's where DeFi protocols come in. So two that we're especially excited about are permission DEX. So that will power Ripple payments initially, and then hopefully other institutional trading use cases thereafter. And that basically allows for on-chain decentralized trading in a permissioned environment, but built in a way such that there can be arbitrage with the open markets and really, liquidity maximized in that regard. So perfect kind of rails for institutional trading to be brought on chain. The second one I'm especially excited about is lending on XRPL mainnet. We'll originally start with collateralized credit origination with off-chain underwriting, and then from there start to bring collateral on-chain as well towards the end of 2025. So that really rounds out our focus from a Ripple perspective on XRPL, which is 3 use cases, in particular payments, trading, and then lending, again, targeting those existing fintechs and financial institutions.
All right, if you missed some of the stuff she said, don't worry, I got you in the text here. So here are some of the biggest amendments that were passed recently. XLS 33 multi-purpose token amendment. This was passed just today, I think, or yesterday, passed in late September 2025 and activated October 1st. So yeah, today activated. Introduces the standard for new fungible token that directly stores immutable metadata on the XRP ledger, optimized for use cases for stablecoins, tokenized assets, and digital cash. MPT tokens bypass the older trustline IOU system by offering a simpler unilateral model for institutions and asset issuers to avoid bilateral management debt relationships. Supports streamlined asset tokenization, easier compliance and integration with institutional DeFi and real-world assets, boosting transparency and operational efficiency. It does talk about credentials amendment, activated in September 4, 2025, adding a privacy-preserving compliance layer aligned with global KYC and AML regulatory standards, enables institutions to issue and accept or revoke compliance credentials aligned with W3C verifiable credentials. So W3C is the internet. directly on chain without exposing private sensitive data. So if you are sending a payment internationally and it goes through multiple banks, they might have to verify your information at each bank to make sure that you're not on a watch list or something like that. This will be able to share that you are who you say you are without giving up your personal data. And I think that's really, really empowering. And it's what institutions are going to be. That's the new standard, in my personal opinion. Powers credential-based access controls, allows institutions to restrict networked activity, accounts, holding valid compliance credentials, automating AML checks, and reducing off-chain compliance costs. Talks about firewall amendment, introduces a protocol level firewall layer for the ledger, boosting network resilience, security, and compliance by filtering transaction types and network connections. You also have the XRPL hub upgrade, improves scalable system reliability and cross-chain interoperability, vital for institutions handling large volumes and integrating with external systems or settlement networks. Reinforces XRP Ledger's ability to process institutional transaction loads while keeping latency and operational risk low. It talks about compliance and regulatory alignment, tokenization and asset issuance, operational efficiency, market implications for Ripple and XRP, drives adoption of RLUSD and XRP as the core asset across regulated corridors, strengthening Ripple's position in a $16 trillion tokenized asset market. We look at what's happening in Africa. We look at what's happening with the adoption of RLUSD in Japan through SBI VC Trade. RLUSD is going to be the global standard for stablecoins, and Ripple is at the heart of all of that. Remember, other institutions and banks are going to be looking at what Ripple's built with their stablecoin, and they're going to say, hey, I want to build my own stablecoin on the XRP ledger so I can use that as a bridge asset in between any and all of these other currencies that our bank goes in and out of. Think about it. If you're a bank like Bank of America and you are sending payments in all of these different currencies, now what's the best solution for you, right? And then also to derivatives. This is another thing, right? The SEC changed this rulemaking decision. You have to have a futures market, which is derivatives here. And this is leading the way on the XRP ledger. Listen up.
As I explained to your audience today, I see crypto as much more than just a new asset class, but really a new architecture of finance, a new way of establishing who owns what and who's transferring what to whom, using the internet as the basis for establishment of that value, as opposed to the individual balance sheets of proprietary institutions. It's a new architecture, a new protocol for establishing value. In any commodity market, the price of the underlying commodity is actually not set in the physical or the spot market. The price is set in the derivative markets. Mature derivative markets are essential for price discovery because it's the one place that all the buyers and sellers can come together to agree on price. That's why the price of gold is not set in a jewelry shop. It's set in the derivatives market. The price of wheat is not set at a grain elevator. It's set in the derivative markets. The price of oil is not set at the gas pump. It's set in the derivative markets. So establishing well-functioning, healthy derivatives for crypto will provide a solid basis for price discovery and price setting for crypto.
This is where people say the price will come with derivatives. If the price for XRP is set in the derivatives market for, $1,000 or $5,000, right? That is what the price will be. XRP derivatives and futures markets have surged in 2025 and now hold a leading position among digital assets for institutional participation, liquidity, and growth. XRP futures, primarily traded on major venues like CME Group, set a record growth rate and now rival the volumes of Bitcoin and Ethereum derivatives with substantial implications for the asset's future. CME XRP futures reached 1 billion in open interest in just over 3 months after launch, outpacing all previous crypto derivative contracts. Boom. Including Bitcoin and Ethereum. XRP outpaced, grew faster than Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let that sink in for a second, right? What is this ETF approval going to do for the spot market? Daily trading volumes peaked at 22.4 billion in Q3 2025, briefly surpassing Bitcoin, reflecting large-scale flows. Bitcoin has 10x, 15x the amount of holders who hold Bitcoin, yet XRP is competing against it in the futures derivatives markets here. Something's not right. Institutions are looking at XRP in different light than they're looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. Once we reach a point of institutional adoption where we are bringing trillions of dollars on chain, when the stablecoin market is worth trillions of dollars, and when the crypto market goes from 25, 50 to $100 trillion, where do you think XRP is going to be in all of this? Do you still think XRP is only going to represent 3.5% or 400% of the crypto market? Or you think it'll grow to 7, 8, 10%, maybe even higher? If XRP has all the use case Bitcoin doesn't, what is actually holding it back now? It's going to be a good October, regardless if we go to $10 or maybe a Jake Claver $750. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm thankful to be on this journey with you. And let's just see how all this unfolds. All right? I'll take it. I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Aloha. Nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. Please seek financial advice if you need it. Let's get back to the video.